Commander Jake Martinez stood in the center of the massive crystal courtroom on Centauri Prime. His blue uniform looked small and plain compared to the colorful robes and strange bodies of the alien judges around him. The air smelled like metal and ozone, and every sound echoed strangely off the crystal walls. He had come here thinking this was just another boring meeting. Earth needed to renew some trade agreements. Maybe discuss mining rights on a few empty planets. Nothing special. Just paperwork and handshakes, the kind of thing diplomats did every day across the galaxy. But something was wrong. Very wrong. The 12 alien judges stared down at him from their high seats. Their faces were hard to read. Some had bug-like eyes. Others had scales or fur or skin that changed colors. But Jake could feel their anger and fear even without understanding their expressions. Chancellor Crixvell rose from the center seat. The insect-like alien was 3 meters tall with 4 arms and wings that buzzed softly when he moved. His voice came through the translation device as cold and final as winter. Human Jake Martinez of the species called humanity. Crixvell began. You stand here as the last witness in the case of galactic security versus the human race. Jake felt his stomach drop. This was not about trade agreements. What charges? Jake asked, trying to keep his voice steady. What has humanity done wrong? The Chancellor's wing cases clicked together in what Jake had learned was their version of a laugh, but there was no humor in it. Your species grows too fast, said Judge Kelmar, a blue-skinned alien with tentacles instead of hair. In 300 years, you have spread to 47 star systems. You build cities faster than we can count them. You make babies faster than any civilized species should. You learn too quickly, added Judge Vorkes, whose rocky skin glowed with inner heat. Your technology advances by decades every few years. You take our science and make it better. You find new ways to use old knowledge. Jake wanted to argue. Those sounded like good things, not crimes. But he could see where this was going. These aliens were scared. Scared of what humans might become. Most dangerous of all, Crixvell continued. You are unpredictable. Other species follow patterns. They do what their ancestors did. They think the same thoughts for thousands of years. But humans change. You adapt. You surprise us. Dr. Lisa Thompson sat in the witness area behind Jake. She was Earth's smartest scientist and his closest friend. He could see her taking notes, her face getting paler with each word the alien spoke. The Galactic Court has made its decision, Crixvell announced. The human species represents a clear and present danger to galactic peace and order. Therefore, humanity is declared an enemy of all civilized worlds. The words hit Jake like a physical blow. Enemy. Not competitor, not problem. Enemy. You have 72 standard hours, the Chancellor continued. All human colonies must be abandoned. Every human ship must return to your home system. Your species will be contained to the Sol system permanently. Any human found outside that boundary after the deadline will be destroyed. Jake found his voice. And if we refuse? Then the combined fleets of 47 worlds will enforce this judgment. Your colonies will be bombed from orbit. Your ships will be hunted down and destroyed. Your home planet will be quarantined forever. The courtroom fell silent except for the soft humming of the translation devices. Jake looked around at the alien faces. Some looked sad. Others seemed excited. A few appeared bored, as if they were discussing the weather instead of genocide. This is murder, Jake said quietly. You are talking about killing billions of innocent people. We are talking about survival, Crixvell replied. Your survival and ours. Accept the quarantine and your species can live on Earth for as long as your sun burns. Refuse and face extinction. Dr. Thompson stood up suddenly. May I speak? The Chancellor waved one of his 4 hands. The human scientist may address the court. Lisa walked forward to stand beside Jake. Her voice was calm, but he could see her hands shaking. You fear us because we advance too quickly, she said. Because we learn too fast, because we adapt. But has humanity ever attacked another species without cause? Have we ever started a war of conquest? No, admitted Judge Voorkes. But you could, and we believe you will. So you judge us guilty of crimes we have not committed and may never commit? We judge you guilty of being dangerous, Crixvell said. A loaded weapon does not need to fire to be a threat. Lisa nodded slowly. I understand. You have made up your minds. But I want to ask one question. When humanity first joined the Galactic Confederation 300 years ago, what were we known for? Curiosity, said Judge Kelmar after a moment. You asked questions about everything. You wanted to learn. And what did we do with that knowledge? You shared it, admitted another judge. You gave away your discoveries freely. You helped other species solve their problems. And now that our curiosity and learning have made us strong, you fear we will become conquerors like the ancient Brutari Empire, or slavers like the Hex Syndicate, or planet killers like the Void Touched. Yes, Crixvell said simply. Lisa smiled, sadly. Then you understand humans less than you think. We are not like those species. We do not conquer for conquest's sake. We do not enslave others for profit. We do not destroy for pleasure. But you could, the Chancellor repeated. And that is enough. The trial was over. Jake knew it. The aliens had already decided humanity's fate before he ever walked into this courtroom. This had just been theater, a way to make themselves feel better about what they were planning to do. The 72-hour countdown begins now, Crixvell announced. Guards will escort the humans to their ship. They may send one message to their home world before departing. As alien guards moved to surround them, Jake caught Lisa's eye. She nodded slightly. They both understood what was really happening. Here. The aliens had discovered that humanity's recent breakthroughs in quantum science and dimensional engineering made their own technology look like stone tools. Instead of trying to keep up, they had decided to eliminate the competition. The guards led them through crystal corridors toward the docking bay. Their ship, the diplomatic vessel Endeavor, waited for them like a tiny metal insect among the massive alien vessels surrounding it. One message, Jake said to Lisa as they walked. What do we tell Earth? The truth, she replied, and then we make sure humanity is ready. As the Endeavor lifted off from Centauri Prime, Jake composed his message. It was short and coded, but every human colony would understand it. Operation Homecoming is now active. All children of Earth return to the cradle. We make our stand together, or not at all. He sent the message through the quantum communication network, knowing it would reach every human settlement in the galaxy within hours. Then he set course for Earth, pushing the ship's engines to their maximum. Behind them, the lights of Centauri Prime faded into the star-filled darkness. Ahead lay Earth, and the greatest challenge humanity had ever faced. The aliens thought they were dealing with a dangerous but primitive species. They were about to learn that the most dangerous thing about humans was not their technology or their numbers. It was their refusal to quit. As the Endeavor jumped into hyperspace, carrying news of humanity's death sentence back to Earth, massive fleets across the galaxy began receiving Jake's message. Human captains read the words and understood. The colonies that had been their new homes were about to become battlegrounds, but Earth was calling her children home, and they were coming. Admiral Kate Sullivan stood on the bridge of the command ship Liberty, watching the screens that showed human colonies across the galaxy. Red dots marked settlements that were already evacuating. Yellow dots showed colonies still packing their ships. Green dots were the ones that had already sent their people toward Earth. There were too many red and yellow dots, not enough green ones. How much time do we have? She asked her aide, Lieutenant Commander Paul Davis. 58 hours until the alien deadline, Paul replied. But our scouts report the alien fleet is already moving. They will reach the outer colonies in 36 hours. Kate nodded grimly. The aliens were not going to wait for their own deadline. They wanted to catch human settlements before they could escape. On Mars, Chief Engineer Ryan Clark wiped sweat from his forehead as he watched the construction robots work. Project Aegis had been his secret for 15 years. When other humans trusted the aliens and believed in galactic peace, Ryan had quietly built Earth's defense system. The defense platforms looked like mining stations to casual observers, but hidden inside their metal shells were weapons that could crack open battleships, energy shields that could protect entire cities, communication arrays that could coordinate attacks across the solar system. "How many platforms are online?" asked his assistant, engineer Beth Murphy. 60%, Ryan answered. "We need at least 80% to have a real chance." "Can we do it in 58 hours? Ryan looked at the construction schedules on his tablet. "We will have to. There is no choice." In the asteroid belt, Dr. Alex Porter supervised teams of miners and engineers as they stripped rare metals from floating rocks. Every gram of titanium, every ounce of rare earth elements was precious now. They were building weapons and armor as fast as humanly possible. "Dad, we have a problem," came a voice over the communication system. It was his daughter, Captain Nina Porter, calling from her ship, the Horizon's Edge. "What is it, Nina?" "The colony ships from Kepler 442 are under attack. The aliens got there faster than we expected. 3 ships are already destroyed. The others are scattered and running." Alex felt his heart sink. Kepler 442 had been home to 2 million humans. If only some of the ships escaped, that meant millions of people were already dead. How many ships got away? Maybe 40 out of 200. "The aliens are not taking prisoners, Dad. They are killing everyone they find." Alex closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, his face was hard as stone. "Then we make sure the ones who escape have somewhere safe to go. And we make sure the aliens pay for every life they have taken." On Earth, President Carol Washington sat in the Emergency Command Center deep beneath the Capitol. Around her, military leaders and scientists worked at computer screens and communication panels. The room buzzed with quiet, urgent activity. "Madam President," said General Robert Kim, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, "we have confirmed reports from 7 colonies. The aliens are not waiting for their deadline. They are attacking immediately." Carol had expected this. The trial on Centauri Prime had been just for show. The aliens had already decided to commit genocide. The 72-hour deadline was meant to make humans panic and run so they could be hunted down more easily. "How many people are we going to lose?" she asked quietly. "Best estimate? 40 million in the outer colonies. Maybe more if the evacuation ships do not make it to Earth. 40 million people." Carol felt the weight of every life pressing down on her shoulders. But she could not let that weight crush her. Earth needed a leader who could think clearly, even in the face of horror. "Tell all colony ships to avoid the main hyperspace routes," she ordered. "Use the old smuggler paths. It will take longer, but they are less likely to run into alien patrol fleets." "Yes, Madam President." Carol stood up and walked to the main display screen. It showed the solar system with tiny icons representing human ships and installations. Soon, this would be humanity's last stronghold. Either they would hold here or humanity would end here. "Get me a direct line to all human settlements," she said. "It is time to tell our people what we are really facing." 10 minutes later, Carol's face appeared on screens throughout human space, in colony domes on distant worlds, in ships fleeing through hyperspace, in space stations and mining platforms. Humans stopped what they were doing to listen to their leader. "My fellow humans," Carol began, "you have heard the Galactic Court's judgment against our species. You know that we have been declared enemies and given 72 hours to return to Earth. But there are things you have not been told." She paused, looking directly into the camera. When she spoke again, her voice was steady and strong. "The aliens are not waiting for their deadline. They are attacking our colonies right now. They are killing civilians, destroying evacuation ships, and hunting down anyone who tries to escape. This is not a deportation. This is genocide." Across human space, people felt their hearts stop. Many had hoped the aliens would be reasonable, that some compromise could be reached. Carol's words destroyed those hopes. "But humanity will not go quietly into the dark," Carol continued. "Every colony ship that makes it to Earth brings with it our best and brightest people. Our scientists, our engineers, our soldiers, our dreamers. The aliens think they are eliminating a threat by driving us back to one system. Instead, they are concentrating all of human knowledge and determination in one place. On the mining ship Prospector's Dream, Captain Danny Wright listened to the president's speech while his crew loaded the last shipment of processed metals. Around him, tough miners who had spent their lives breaking rocks in the cold of space wiped tears from their eyes. "We will make our stand at Earth," Carol said. "Not because we have no choice, but because Earth is worth defending. Because humanity is worth defending. And because the aliens are about to learn that the most dangerous animal is one that has been backed into a corner." Intelligence Officer Lieutenant Sam Hayes sat in a hidden listening post on the edge of Confederation space. His job was to monitor alien communications and report back to Earth. What he had discovered in the last few hours made his blood run cold. The aliens were not just planning to attack human colonies. They had a weapon called the Stellar Cleanser. According to the intercepted messages, it could burn away a planet's atmosphere and crack its crust. They planned to use it on Earth itself. Sam quickly encoded his report and sent it through the quantum communication network. Earth needed to know what was coming. Back on Mars, Ryan Clark received Sam's message and immediately called an emergency meeting with his engineering team. "They have a planet killer," he told them simply. "Our shield generators and weapon platforms will not stop something that can crack a planet's crust." "Then what do we do?" asked Beth Murphy. Ryan was quiet for a long moment, thinking. Then his face lit up with a dangerous smile. "We do what humans have always done when faced with a bigger, stronger enemy. We cheat." In the asteroid belt, Nina Porter's ship joined up with a growing convoy of human vessels heading toward Earth. Her cargo hold was packed with refugees from the destroyed Kepler colonies. Many were injured. All were traumatized. But they were alive, and that was what mattered. "Captain," said her first officer, Lieutenant Mark Thompson, "we are receiving a fleet-wide message from Admiral Sullivan." Nina nodded. "Put it through." Kate Sullivan's voice filled the bridge. "This is Admiral Sullivan to all human vessels. I know many of you are scared. I know you have seen terrible things. Friends and family members who did not make it to the evacuation ships. Homes and dreams left behind forever." Nina looked out at the convoy around her. Hundreds of ships from massive colony transports to tiny personal craft. All heading toward Earth, carrying the survivors of humanity's scattered civilization. "But I want you to remember something," Kate continued. "Every human ship that reaches Earth makes us stronger. Every refugee who survives carries with them the knowledge and skills we will need to defend our home. The aliens think they are driving us to our destruction. Instead, they are forging us into something stronger than we have ever been before." On Earth, Carol Washington stood on the roof of the presidential bunker, looking up at the night sky. Somewhere out there beyond the stars she could see, the largest fleet in galactic history was heading toward her world. Ships from dozens of alien species carrying weapons that could destroy planets. But also out there, racing through hyperspace toward home, were millions of humans who had lost everything except their determination to survive. Scientists and soldiers, engineers and farmers, children and elders, all coming together for humanity's final battle. Carol smiled grimly. The aliens had made one critical mistake. They thought that cornering humanity would make them weak and desperate. They were about to learn that nothing in the universe was more dangerous than humans with nothing left to lose. The gathering storm was almost here, but Earth would be ready. Captain Ben Rodriguez gripped the arms of his command chair as his ship, the Defiance, shook under enemy fire. Through the bridge windows, he could see the massive alien fleet spreading across space like a metal plague. Their ships were 10 times bigger than his destroyer, but he had a job to do. "Target their sensor arrays," he ordered his weapons officer. "Hit and run just like we practiced." The Defiance fired its railguns at the nearest alien cruiser, then immediately turned and accelerated away. The alien ship's return fire missed by hundreds of meters. The aliens were used to fighting enemies who stood still and traded shots. They did not know how to fight humans who struck fast and disappeared. "Direct hit on their communications dish," reported Lieutenant Kelly Brooks from the weapons station. "They are flying blind now." "Good. Find us another target." Ben had been fighting for 6 hours now, ever since the alien fleet entered the outer solar system near Pluto. His small destroyer had taken on ships 50 times its size and lived to tell about it, but he could see more alien vessels arriving every minute. Soon there would be too many to avoid. In the asteroid belt, Admiral Kate Sullivan watched the battle through her command screens. The Liberty was hidden among the floating rocks, invisible to alien sensors but able to coordinate the human defense. "How many ships have we lost?" she asked. 12 destroyers, 6 frigates, and 3 cruisers, replied Commander Helen Garcia. "But we have destroyed or damaged over 40 alien vessels." Kate nodded. Those were good numbers, but they could not last. For every human ship lost, the aliens had 10 more to take its place. Humanity needed something to even the odds. "Activate the quantum disruptor network," she ordered. Across the solar system, hidden devices that had been built in secret for 20 years came online. They looked like ordinary navigation beacons, but inside each one was a piece of technology that could bend space and time in small areas. The effects were immediate. Alien ships suddenly found their navigation systems showing impossible readings. Their weapons could not lock onto targets. Some ships even fired on their own allies as their computers became confused by the distorted space around them. Admiral Thex Nor, commander of the alien fleet, stood on the bridge of his flagship and watched his perfect formation fall apart. His massive warship was 3 kilometers long and carried enough firepower to destroy a moon. But right now, his crew could not even tell which direction they were facing. "What is happening to our systems?" he demanded. "Unknown, Admiral," replied his science officer, a tentacled creature from the Aquari worlds. "Our instruments are detecting spatial distortions throughout the system. It is as if space itself is fighting against us." Thex Nor's 4 eyes narrowed. The humans were more clever than he had expected, but he had not become a fleet admiral by giving up when faced with tricks. "Order all ships to switch to backup navigation systems. Use visual targeting only, and find me those human disruptor devices." On Earth, former Marine Sergeant Tony Walker crouched behind the controls of Shield Generator Station 7. The massive facility was built into a mountain in Colorado, its energy projectors hidden among what looked like communication towers. "Alien landing craft approaching the city," reported his second-in-command, Corporal Lisa Martinez. 12 troop transports coming in fast. Tony looked through his binoculars at the incoming alien ships. They were ugly things, built for war instead of beauty. Each one carried about 200 alien soldiers. "Let them land," he said calmly. "Then we show them what happens when you invade Earth." The alien transports touched down in a field outside Denver. Doors opened and soldiers poured out. Most of them were Brutari warriors, massive creatures with thick armor and energy weapons. They looked like they could walk through a building without slowing down. But as they started marching toward the city, hidden human defenses came alive. Machine gun nests opened fire from concealed positions. Missile launchers emerged from fake rocks and trees. The aliens found themselves in a carefully prepared killing ground. "Welcome to Earth," Tony said into his radio as he watched alien soldiers dive for cover. "Hope you brought body bags." In space, Captain Nina Porter was having problems of her own. Her ship, the Horizon's Edge, was carrying 3,000 refugees from the destroyed colonies. But an alien patrol had found them, and now she was running for her life. "They are gaining on us," her navigator, Lieutenant Ray Johnson, reported. "Our engines are already at maximum power." Nina looked at the screen showing the alien ships behind them. 3 heavy cruisers, each one fast enough to catch her loaded transport. If they caught the Horizon's Edge, 3,000 civilians would die. "How long until we reach the inner system?" she asked. 20 minutes at current speed. "We do not have 20 minutes. Nina made a decision that would have terrified most ship captains. "Cut power to life support and artificial gravity. Route everything to the engines." "Captain, that is dangerous if something goes wrong. If we do not try it, we are all dead anyway. Do it." The Horizon's Edge suddenly accelerated as every bit of power was fed to its engines. The alien ships fell behind, unable to match the desperate burst of speed. But Nina knew they could not maintain this pace for long without killing everyone on board. Back in the asteroid belt, Dr. Alex Porter was working on a different kind of problem. His daughter's message about the alien patrol had given him an idea. If individual alien ships could be defeated by clever tactics and desperate measures, maybe the same approach would work on a larger scale. "How many quantum disruptors do we have left?" he asked his engineering team. "About 30 that we have not activated yet," answered Engineer Tom Chen. "I want them all moved to one location, right in the path of the main alien fleet." "Sir, that will create a massive space distortion. It might tear holes in reality itself." Alex smiled grimly. "That is what I am counting on." On Earth, Dr. Lisa Thompson was in her laboratory working frantically on another aspect of the defense. She had been studying the alien fleet's communication patterns, and she had discovered something interesting. All the alien ships were connected to each other through a quantum communication network. It allowed them to coordinate their attacks and share information instantly, but it also made them vulnerable to something humans had been very good at for centuries: computer viruses. "If we can get this program into their network," she explained to her assistant, Dr. Mike Rodriguez, "it will spread to every ship in their fleet." "What will it do?" "Make their computers think their allies are enemies. Turn their own weapons against each other. Create chaos in their ranks." Mike looked at the code on Lisa's screen. It was elegant and deadly. A digital weapon designed to turn the aliens' greatest strength into their greatest weakness. "How do we get it into their system?" Lisa pointed to a screen showing Captain Nina Porter's ship racing toward Earth. "Nina's ship has been scanned by alien sensors. That created a brief connection to their network. We can use that connection to upload the virus." The battle for Earth was reaching its critical point. Human ships were falling back toward the inner planets, drawing the alien fleet deeper into the solar system. Every retreat was carefully planned, leading the aliens into position for the next phase of the defense. Admiral Thexnor sensed victory approaching. The human ships were fast and clever, but they were running out of places to hide. Soon his fleet would reach Earth itself, and then this annoying species would be extinct. "All ships, prepare for final assault," he ordered. "Target the human homeworld. We end this now." But as his ships moved toward Earth, they passed through the field of quantum disruptors that Alex Porter had positioned in their path. Space itself seemed to scream as reality bent and twisted around the alien fleet. Ships collided with each other as their navigation systems failed completely. Some vessels simply vanished, torn apart by the impossible forces acting on them. Others found themselves moving backward through time, experiencing the same moment over and over again. At the same moment, Lisa Thompson's virus entered the alien communication network through the connection created when they scanned Nina's ship. The digital plague spread from ship to ship faster than the aliens could stop it. Suddenly, alien vessels began firing on their own allies. Friend or foe identification systems turned upside down. Ships that had fought together for decades suddenly saw each other as mortal enemies. Admiral Thexnor watched his perfect fleet tear itself apart and realized he had made a terrible mistake. These humans were not the primitive species he had expected. They were something far more dangerous. They were survivors who had learned that sometimes the only way to win was to change the rules of the game completely. The battle for Earth was far from over. But for the first time since the aliens had entered the solar system, humanity had a chance to win. Commander Jake Martinez stood in the cargo bay of his ship, looking at the massive antimatter device that filled most of the space. The bomb was 3 meters tall and covered in warning labels in 12 different languages. It was the most dangerous weapon humanity had ever built, and he was about to fly it straight into the heart of the alien fleet. "Are you sure about this, Jake?" asked Dr. Lisa Thompson over the communication system. She was back on Earth watching the battle through satellite feeds. "No choice, Lisa," Jake replied. "That stellar cleanser is almost finished charging. In 4 hours it will fire and Earth will be a burned rock floating in space. This is our only chance to stop it." Jake's ship, the Endeavor, had been modified for this suicide mission. Extra armor plating covered the hull. The engines had been upgraded to give maximum speed. Most of the life support systems had been removed to make room for the antimatter bomb. "Jake, you do not have to do this alone," came a voice from his bridge. It was Captain Nina Porter. Her ship had just arrived in the inner system, carrying the refugees from the outer colonies. "Nina, your ship is full of civilians. You cannot risk them." The civilians are being transferred to other ships right now. In 10 minutes, the Horizon's Edge will be ready for combat. Let me help you with this." Jake smiled despite the danger they were all facing. This was what made humans special. When the situation looked hopeless, they did not give up. They found ways to help each other. On Earth's surface, the ground battle was getting worse. Sergeant Tony Walker ducked as an alien plasma bolt melted the concrete wall next to his head. His shield generator station was under direct attack by a full company of Brutari warriors. "How much longer can we hold them?" asked Corporal Lisa Martinez, firing her rifle at the advancing aliens. "As long as we have to," Tony replied, loading a new magazine into his weapon. "If this generator goes down, the whole sector loses its protective shield. 5 million people will die." The Brutari were tough enemies. Their natural armor could stop small arms fire, and their energy weapons could cut through steel. But they had one weakness that Tony had noticed. They always attacked, in straight lines, never using cover effectively. "Martinez, take half the squad and circle around to the east. When I give the signal, hit them from the side while they are focused on us." "Got it, Sergeant." Tony waited until the aliens were committed to their frontal assault, then triggered the signal. His remaining soldiers opened fire from their defensive positions while Martinez's team attacked from the flank. Caught in a crossfire, the alien formation broke apart. But Tony knew this was just a temporary victory. More alien landing craft were approaching the city every hour. Soon, there would be too many to stop. In space, Admiral Kate Sullivan was coordinating the defense from her command ship. The quantum disruptors and computer virus had thrown the alien fleet into chaos, but they were starting to recover. Worse, the stellar cleanser was almost ready to fire. "How long until Commander Martinez reaches the weapon platform?" she asked. "At current speed, 37 minutes, replied Commander Helen Garcia. "But the aliens have formed a defensive screen around it. He will have to fight through 50 warships to get close enough." Kate looked at the tactical display. Jake's ship was a tiny dot moving toward the massive alien formation. Even with Nina Porter's help, the odds of success were almost zero. "Send a message to all human ships in the area," Kate ordered. "Anyone who can fight, join the attack. We throw everything we have at that defensive screen." Dr. Alex Porter was already on his way. His mining ship, the Rock Crusher, was not built for combat, but he had welded armor plates to the hull and mounted missile launchers in the cargo bay. Behind him, 20 other mining and transport ships followed. They were civilians, but they were not going to let Jake face the aliens alone. "This is insane," his engineer Tom Chen said as they approached the alien formation. "We are flying mining ships against military warships." "Insane is what humans do best," Alex replied. "Besides, they are not expecting us. We might be able to surprise them." The improvised human fleet struck the alien defensive screen like a hammer. Mining ships rammed into alien cruisers. Transport vessels fired improvised weapons at enemy destroyers. The aliens, already confused by the quantum disruptions and computer virus, found themselves under attack from directions they had not expected. In the confusion, Jake's ship slipped through the defensive line. But his problems were just beginning. The stellar cleanser itself was protected by energy shields and point defense weapons. Getting close enough to plant the antimatter bomb would be almost impossible. "Jake, we have a problem." Nina's voice came over the radio. "My sensors are picking up something else. The aliens have a backup plan." "What kind of backup plan?" "There are gravitic charges buried in Earth's crust. If they cannot use the stellar cleanser, they will detonate the planet's core instead. Turn Earth into a new star." Jake felt his blood turn cold. Even if he succeeded in destroying the weapon platform, Earth would still die. The aliens had planned for every possibility. On Earth, Dr. Lisa Thompson was frantically searching through alien databases that had been captured during the battle. If there were gravitic charges hidden on the planet, she had to find them before it was too late. "There," she said, pointing at her computer screen. The charges were hidden inside what looked like scientific research probes. They have been on Earth for 6 months, slowly boring down toward the core. "Can we stop them?" asked her assistant, Dr. Mike Rodriguez. "Maybe, but I need to get to the main charge. It is buried 3 kilometers underground, directly beneath the city of Beijing. Lisa grabbed her equipment and ran toward the emergency transport system. She had less than an hour to reach Beijing, find the hidden charge, and figure out how to disarm it. If she failed, the planet would explode from the inside. In space, Jake's ship was taking heavy damage as it approached the stellar cleanser. The weapon platform was the size of a small moon, covered in defensive guns that filled space with deadly energy beams. "Hull breach in Section 4, reported his engineer, Lieutenant Sam Carter. "We are losing atmosphere fast. Seal what you can. How much farther to the target?" 2 kilometers, but Jake, the antimatter bomb is damaged. The containment field is starting to fail. Jake looked at his instruments. The bomb would explode in 15 minutes whether he wanted it to or not. If he could not reach the weapon platform in time, his sacrifice would be meaningless. "Nina, are you still with me?" "Right beside you, Jake. What do you need?" "I need you to ram your ship into their main shield generator. Create an opening for me to get through." There was silence on the radio for a moment. Then Nina's voice came back, calm and determined. "Consider it done." The horizon's edge accelerated toward the stellar cleanser's shield array. Nina's ship was fast and maneuverable, designed for exploration rather than war. But in the hands of a desperate human pilot, it became a guided missile. The alien shields flared and sparked as Nina's ship struck them. Energy cascaded across the weapon platform's hull. For a few seconds, there was a gap in the defensive barrier. Jake did not waste the opportunity. He pushed his engines to maximum power and flew the Endeavor through the opening. Behind him, he could see Nina's ship spinning away from the platform, badly damaged, but still intact. "Nina, get out of here. The antimatter bomb is about to blow. Not without you, Jake." "There is no time to argue. Go." Jake's ship crashed into the stellar cleanser's main power core just as the antimatter bomb exploded. The blast was visible from Earth, a new star that burned for 30 seconds before fading away. When the light cleared, the weapon platform was gone. But on Earth, the gravitic charges were still counting down. Lisa Thompson had reached Beijing and found the main device, but disarming it was more complicated than she had hoped. "It is connected to a quantum timer," she explained to Dr. Mike Rodriguez over the radio. "If I make a mistake, it will detonate immediately." "How much time do we have?" Lisa looked at the alien symbols on the device's display. 7 minutes. Above the planet, the surviving aliens realized their planet-killer weapon was destroyed. Admiral Thexnor stared at the empty space where the stellar cleanser had been and felt something he had never experienced before. Fear. These humans were not just fighting for their lives. They were willing to die to protect each other. They turned civilian ships into weapons. They used their own bodies as missiles. They fought with a desperation and determination that no other species in the galaxy possessed. "Admiral," his science officer reported, "the gravitic charges on the planet's surface are still active. Earth will be destroyed in 6 minutes. Thexnor nodded. Perhaps the humans had won this battle, but they would still lose the war. Earth would die, and with it, the last of humanity. But in a laboratory deep beneath Beijing, Dr. Lisa Thompson was not ready to give up. She had found the key to disarming the alien device. It would require precise timing and a lot of luck. But if there was one thing humans had learned in their short history, it was that luck favored those who refused to quit. The fate of Earth now rested in the hands of one determined scientist working against an alien bomb designed to destroy worlds. Time was running out. Dr. Lisa Thompson's hands were steady as she worked on the alien device buried 3 kilometers beneath Beijing. Sweat dripped from her forehead in the hot underground chamber, but her fingers moved with practiced precision. She had 4 minutes to save Earth. "The quantum timer is connected to the main detonator through 3 separate circuits," she reported to Dr. Mike Rodriguez over the radio. "I need to cut them in the exact right order, or the backup systems will trigger the explosion." "What order?" Mike asked from his position in the Surface Command Center. "That is the problem. The alien writing is different from anything we have seen before. I am guessing based on the power flow patterns." Above ground, President Carol Washington watched the countdown on her screen. 3 minutes and 40 seconds until Earth's core exploded. Around her, military leaders and scientists waited in silence. There was nothing any of them could do now except hope that one brilliant woman could solve an alien puzzle in time. In space, Admiral Kate Sullivan surveyed the battlefield from her command ship. The alien fleet was scattered and confused. Many of their ships had been destroyed by the quantum disruptors and computer virus. Others were still firing on their own allies. But the survivors were starting to reorganize under Admiral Thex Nor's leadership. "Admiral," reported Commander Helen Garcia, "we are receiving a transmission from the alien flagship. They want to talk." Kate almost laughed. After trying to commit genocide, now the aliens wanted to negotiate. But she was curious about what they had to say. "Put them through." Admiral Thex Nor's image appeared on the main screen. The alien commander looked tired and defeated. His 4 eyes showed an emotion that Kate had never seen in an alien before. "Respect." "Human Admiral," Thex Nor began, "I have underestimated your species. You fight with a courage and determination that I have never encountered in 40 years of warfare." "Is that supposed to be an apology?" Kate asked coldly. "No, it is an acknowledgement. You have proven that humanity cannot be easily destroyed. But neither can we allow you to spread unchecked through the galaxy." Kate checked her chronometer. 2 minutes until the gravitic charges exploded. She wondered if Thex Nor knew about his own species' backup plan to destroy Earth. Deep underground, Lisa had successfully cut the first 2 circuits. But the third one was more complicated. It was connected to a sensor that would detect any attempt to tamper with it. She needed to find a way to fool the alien computer. "Mike, I need you to create an electromagnetic pulse at exactly the moment. I cut this wire. The pulse needs to be timed perfectly to mask the circuit break from the sensor." "How perfect is perfectly?" "Within 1,000th of a second. If we are late, the bomb explodes. If we are early, the bomb explodes." Mike looked at his equipment. Creating an electromagnetic pulse with that kind of precision would be almost impossible. But almost impossible was better than definitely impossible. On Earth's surface, Sergeant Tony Walker and his squad had finally beaten back the alien assault on the shield generator. The Brutari warriors lay scattered around the facility, their energy weapons silent forever. But Tony knew this was just one small victory in a much larger war. "Sergeant," called Corporal Lisa Martinez, "look at the sky." Tony looked up and saw something he had never expected to see. Alien ships were retreating. The massive vessels that had darkened Earth's sky were pulling back toward space. Some were limping, trailing smoke and debris. Others moved in confused circles, their computer systems still infected by Lisa Thompson's virus. "Are we winning?" Martinez asked. "I think we might be," Tony replied, hardly believing his own words. In space, Captain Nina Porter's damaged ship drifted among the wreckage of the destroyed stellar cleanser. She had survived Jake Martinez's heroic sacrifice, but her ship was badly damaged and her engines were offline. Through her bridge windows, she could see the alien fleet retreating in disorder. "Captain," reported her engineer, Lieutenant Ray Johnson, "we are receiving multiple distress signals from alien ships. Their crews are abandoning damaged vessels. Any word from Commander Martinez?" Ray shook his head sadly. "No life pods detected from the Endeavor. He did not make it out." Nina closed her eyes for a moment, thinking about Jake's sacrifice. He had given his life to destroy the weapon that would have killed Earth. She would make sure his name was remembered. Below, ground in Beijing, Lisa was ready to make the final cut. The alien device hummed with deadly energy, its countdown display showing 58 seconds remaining. She had positioned her wire cutters on the last circuit and given Mike the signal to prepare his electromagnetic pulse. "On my mark," she said into her radio. 3, 2, 1, mark. Lisa cut the wire at the exact moment Mike triggered the pulse. For a terrifying second, nothing happened. The alien device continued to hum, its display still counting down. Then, the humming stopped. The countdown display flickered and went dark. The gravitic charges buried throughout Earth's crust powered down safely. "It worked," Lisa whispered. Then louder, "It worked. The charges are disarmed. Above ground, President Carol Washington felt a weight lift from her shoulders that she had been carrying for days. Earth was safe. Humanity had survived its darkest hour, but the war was not over yet. Admiral Thex Nor stared at his fleet status, display in disbelief. Half his ships were destroyed or damaged beyond repair. The rest were scattered across the solar system, many still firing on each other due to the human computer virus. His perfect formation had become a chaotic mess. "Admiral," his science officer reported, "the gravitic charges on Earth have been disarmed. The planet is intact." Thex Nor closed his 4 eyes. His people had tried every weapon they possessed against humanity. Planet killers, gravitic bombs, overwhelming military force. Nothing had worked. These humans were too clever, too determined, too willing to sacrifice themselves for each other. "Signal the retreat," he ordered quietly. "Admiral, the Galactic Court will demand an explanation for this failure. Then they can come and fight the humans themselves," Thex Nor replied. "I have learned something today that the court does not understand. Some species cannot be conquered. They can only be destroyed completely or left alone entirely, and we have failed to destroy humanity." The alien fleet began its withdrawal from the solar system, leaving behind the wreckage of their failed invasion. As they departed, they carried with them a new understanding of what humans were capable of when threatened with extinction. On Earth, the celebrations were brief. President Carol Washington knew that humanity had won this battle, but the war with the Galactic Confederation was far from over. Earth needed to be ready for whatever came next. She called an emergency meeting of all surviving military and civilian leaders. In the conference room deep beneath the Capitol, the faces around the table were grim but determined. "We have proven that we can defend ourselves," Carol began. "But we cannot stay trapped in one star system forever. Humanity needs room to grow, to explore, to become what we were meant to be." Admiral Kate Sullivan leaned forward. "What are you proposing, Madam President?" "We expand. But this time we do it on our own terms. No more depending on alien permissions or treaties. We find worlds that no one else wants, and we make them into new homes for humanity." Dr. Lisa Thompson, who had just arrived from Beijing, added her thoughts. "The aliens fear us because we advance too quickly, so we advance even faster. We develop technologies they cannot match. We become so strong that they will never dare to threaten us again." General Robert Kim nodded. "I can start organizing colonial expeditions immediately, but we will need to assume that any world we settle will eventually be attacked. Every colony must be able to defend itself." Carol looked around the table at these people who had just saved humanity from extinction. They were tired, wounded, and had lost friends and family in the battle. But they were not defeated. If anything, they seemed more determined than ever. "The Galactic Court declared us enemies," she said. "They tried to commit genocide against our entire species. But they failed to understand one simple truth about humanity." "What truth?" asked Admiral Sullivan. Carol smiled grimly. "We do not stay down when knocked down. We get back up, learn from our mistakes, and become stronger. The aliens wanted to eliminate a threat. Instead, they have created something far more dangerous than they ever imagined." 5 years later, reports began reaching the galactic core of mysterious attacks on slaver convoys in the Outer Rim territories. Pirate bases were found destroyed, their crews missing. Corrupt officials on frontier worlds vanished in the night. The attackers were human, but not from any known colony. They appeared without warning, struck with devastating precision, and disappeared before reinforcements could arrive. Their ships bore no identification except for a simple message broadcast on all frequencies: "Never again." The young alien diplomat, who first heard these reports, asked his elder how the galaxy should respond to this new human threat. The elder, who had survived the failed invasion of Earth, replied with the wisdom of bitter experience: "We do not respond, child. We stay out of their way and hope they remember mercy when they become the rulers of this galaxy." The Galactic Court had outlawed humanity, believing they were eliminating a dangerous species. Instead, they had forged that species into something harder, stronger, and more determined than ever before.